I'm live. Okay, I am trying this out. New platform and new content. I want to talk about the 3 justifications that you can use to get an increase in your pay as a board certified music therapist. There are a couple ways to look at this. First of all, if you're a contractor, then it's a little bit different, but not too different. If you're an employee, then there's another way. But all of the principles and the order of operations is the same for each. So, a couple of things to think about here. First of all, in order to improve our field, in order to um, fortify our field, make our field stronger, we all need to be getting paid what we are worth. All right. And what we are worth is simply what we're willing to ask for that the other person is going to agree to. So if you think about that, then the truth is that in times like these, when you're asking for an increase in pay, you have to be bold. The other thing to think about is that there are different levels of communication. The closest, most intimate level of communication would be if you're in real time standing in the same room with the person face to face, the person, the decision maker, the person who decides how much you're getting paid, right? That is the closest, most intimate manner. And the cool thing about being in live, like in person, live in real time, is that when you state your ask, then you can see their response in real time right away. Now, by the time you get there, you will have already thought about all the objections or all the pushback or all the rejection that may be coming your way. And you may have already brainstormed how you're going to respond to that. Okay. Always respond with optimism. But I think that when you have someone in real time, even if it's just on the phone, you're at such an advantage when you're negotiating anything. Okay. When you're making an ask for anything, you have an advantage if you have the person in real time. Okay. Because you can sense their responses right away. And then you can respond to their responses right away with optimism and with hope and with a sense of confidence and feeling grounded. So, I'm just going to go through these 3 justifications, but I need you to know that there's a certain order of operations that you need to go through in order to make this successful. The first justification you have for asking for an increase in pay is cost of living. Okay. It is totally normal for any employee in any industry to get a cost of living pay increase once a year. It's usually, by the end of the year, they announce it anywhere around 3%, but I would ask for 5%. So just go ahead and ask for the higher percentage and then see what their response is. This is, like I said, whether you're an employee or a contractor, they don't call it the like cost of living increase. You may want to call it just your typical rate, your annual rate increase, or something that makes it standard, and then ask for it every single year. Ask for that 5% or more. I have had coaching clients tell me that they were charging, like $65, and then they decided to raise their rates by $40 an hour to more like 100 or 105. And a lot of people have no problem, because if you have A+ clients, then they are going to root you on, and they are going to say, yes, you deserve this increase in pay or increase in hourly compensation. Okay, so the first justification is cost of living. Like I said, as a contractor, you just call it your annual rate increase. The second one is accomplishment. So think about if you have done anything to benefit the organization, which you have, whether you're an employee or a contractor. I mean, you have likely put together songbooks, maybe on OnSong. Maybe you have updated all the iPads with all the most current apps and tools and really quick and easy resources that any staff person would have access to. Maybe you've provided a training to other staff members. Maybe you have sat in on orientation for new employees to teach them about music therapy. So whatever your accomplishments are with your organization, with your employee or contractor, make sure to just list them out and get ready to have them at the tip of your tongue when you're asking for this pay increase. All right. I'm talking about songbooks, but I'm talking about any kind of extra projects. Did you start something new this past year or these past 2 years? Have you been supervising any kind of interns or students, or have you been managing volunteers? What have you been doing that may be above and beyond what the expectations are of your role? And I know you have been doing something because we are all overachievers. All of us music therapists, we work so hard for the best benefit of our clients' experience. So think about, ask yourself the question, what have I done to contribute to this organization's prosperity? Whatever that is. And even if it is included in your role, your written role, that's okay. Write it down, get ready to say it out loud, and then figure out how you can continue to do these things in the future so that when you're asking for a rate increase in the future, you've already set yourself up. You've already punted yourself into the position of success. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be any kind of new cost savings research that has been published in peer-reviewed journals. So, for example, there is this one. I'm going to pull it up really quick. This one, not from too long ago, where it was published in Critical Care Medicine. This is a peer-reviewed journal. The title of this article is called Music Therapy Reduces Anxiety More Effectively and at a Cost Savings of $2,322 per ICU patient. Now, granted, this is specific to the ICU, but what is it about that research that you can transfer over to your current work? My dear professor from Florida State, Dr. Madsen, would teach us this phrase: adapt, adapt, adapt. Whatever you're looking at, whatever you, in all seasons and stages of life, right? In all career aspects, what can you transfer from one place over to your place that makes sense, that's logical, that someone would be able to say, yeah, I agree. Okay, so what is it in that article? We also have a cost savings PDF full of, I think it's 5 research studies that show music therapy that saves costs. So you can grab that from us. It's free. If you want it, just contact us and we'll send it to you. But think about any kind of research that has been published that could make the case for how music therapy has been benefiting patients and clients. I know for facilities that get reimbursement through Medicare, like hospice and hospitals, I know patient satisfaction is a huge determinant of the reimbursement that they receive, right? So music therapy obviously contributes to the higher patient satisfaction scores, which likely, allow that hospital to receive more reimbursement through Medicare specifically. Okay, now I mentioned the 3 ways, right? Cost of living increase, accomplishment-based increase, and any kind of new cost savings research that has come out that you can transfer to your current settings. But I wanted to also talk about, how do you make the ask? Okay. And this I might talk about in more content, more videos in the future, but there are 3 things you need to keep in mind when you make an ask. I talked about levels of engagement. Being in person and right with that person in person, like in real time, is the highest, most intimate level of engagement that you can get. So when you're asking someone for a raise in person, in time, then they are more likely to say yes. And frankly, it doesn't even matter what kind of reason you give them, but it does matter that you give them a reason. Okay. So people are more likely to say, this is the weirdest experiment, right? But I was taught this at a workshop recently. If you ask somebody at the front of line and say, hey, can I cut in front of you? Then they will likely say no, 80% chance of saying no. But if you go to the front of the line and you say, hey, can I cut in front of you because my grandma's sick? Well, of course, it's like 90 to 100%, they'll say yes. But if you say, hey, can I cut in front of you because I just want to cut in front of you? Then still it's at 80% that they will say yes. So the rationale, the justification isn't as important as the bold, daring, straight, direct action that you take in just making the ask. This needs to be done on an annual basis. I used to teach business owners that, okay, ask for an increase every 2 years, but now we've changed due to a lot of new research and just basic costs of living. It's totally appropriate and normal and expected to ask for a rate increase once a year. Now, I will say, when you're an employee, you have to make the ask. When you are a contractor, you just state the fact. Okay, so that's another difference between those two. When you're a contractor, you're expected to set your own rates and you say, okay, my new rate is this. When you're an employee, it's more like an ask. But like I said, you have that person in real time, in person, in the same room, you're more likely to get a yes than if you send an email. Because when you send an email or a text, then they have time to think about what their no is going to sound like. Okay. They have time to think about all their objections. But if you're with the person in real time, then they can say, okay, no, that's a great idea. And they are more likely to buy in. Now, they may not have the final word. Maybe they have to talk to somebody else that talks to somebody else that talks to somebody else, but they will be your advocate. They are more likely to be your advocate and be your cheerleader for this pay increase if you talk to them in real time, in person. Okay, so the other thing you want to keep in mind when you're making the ask or when you're setting your new rate, sending out a rate increase letter, is what you need to do is, I love going in the order of the 3 A's, the 3 A's of communication. This is like, I call it compassionate communication, because you want to always start with acknowledgement. So it basically goes in the order of acknowledgement, align, ask. Or acknowledge, align, and ask. Those are 3 verbs. So you acknowledge the person and their role and what they must be feeling and where they're at. So you're connecting with them where they are at, just like we do with our clients. Okay. The second piece is align. So weave the two together. Talk about how the acknowledgement of them, whatever their accomplishments are, wherever they're at, aligns with what you're about to ask. Okay. Because you are the same. It's like, know, and trust. You want to kind of affirm that you hear them and you see them. And then you want to make the point that, hey, we're aligned in this way. Your mission is this, your objective is this, your accomplishments are this, and I am with you. I'm rooting you on. I'm on the same team. And that's why, and due to the accomplishments or due to the cost of living or due to the cost savings research, you're making this ask. And then at the end, you want to make the ask and just ask the question and leave space. In the awkward moment of making the ask, that silence after you make the ask is so important to just leave blank. When you're in person and in the same room in real time with the decision maker, it's so important to just make the ask and leave them space to answer. Let them have an opportunity to fill in the space. Don't get so nervous that you just fill up a word salad and talk and talk and talk and talk. Just make the ask and then be quiet, because that gives them an opportunity to voice their objections. And then that's another thing that you'll want to think about, like what are the reasons they might object to you asking for a raise? Okay. Maybe they don't have a budget. Maybe they don't have the say. All these things, you can work out the objections. In fact, I have a whole worksheet on how to work out objections, how to dance with these objections and eventually dissolve them. So if you'd like that worksheet, then we'd love to give it to you. But this is how I coach music therapists into making $100 an hour or higher. A coaching student I had located on the East Coast was charging $190. I had another coaching client who at first was charging $150, and they raised their rates to $300 for a presentation and a training with activities directors. So I just want you to know that you're probably you probably haven't fulfilled your earning potential as a music therapist. Okay. So let's get you there. Let's get you into the Century Club. If you're a contractor, you need to be making $100 an hour minimum. Okay. And if you're an employed worker, hey, let's get you up to that $100,000 a year mark. Let's figure out how to do it. Let's figure out what the strategy is and what might be possible for you. Okay. So come on over to our website. The reason I'm recording this live video is because we are going to be publishing a class soon, a CMTE class on all this whole topic. Looking forward to that. But I just wanted to warm up our YouTube channel here and contact us if you are a business owner. We would love to hear from you, where you're at. What are your biggest struggles? What are your largest challenges? What are the biggest obstacles in your way? And we'd love to help you conquer through. So thank you for joining me on this video. 3 justifications for asking for a rate increase. Have a great evening.